You open your phone to check one notification. 40 minutes later, you look up and you don't remember deciding to stay. You don't remember scrolling past the first video, or the 10th, or the 50th. Your thumb kept moving on its own. And somewhere in the last decade, a new phrase entered the dictionary to describe exactly this feeling: brain rot. But here's what nobody tells you. Your brain isn't rotting. It's doing exactly what it was built to do, in an environment it was never built for. You've probably felt the symptoms. A song you can't get out of your head, a meme you laughed at but can't explain to anyone else, a 20-second window where you can't hold a single thought still. You call it brain rot like it's a modern disease. But the real story is far stranger than a disease. It's a story about a 300,000-year-old survival machine getting hijacked by something it was never designed to resist. Ready to see how deep it goes? Start with what your brain is actually built for. Not entertainment, not information. Survival. Every neuron in your skull evolved because it helped some ancestor of yours live long enough to pass on their genes. That's it. That's the whole design brief. Notice movement in the grass, because movement might mean a predator. Notice a loud, sudden noise, because sudden noises used to mean danger. Notice anything new, anything different, anything unexpected, because in a world without supermarkets or Google Maps, new information could be the difference between finding food and starving. Psychologists have a name for this. It's called novelty bias, and it's one of the oldest wiring patterns in the human brain. Your ancestors who ignored a sudden rustle in the bushes didn't get to become your ancestors. The ones who paid close attention did. Over hundreds of thousands of years, that attention to novelty got burned so deep into human neurology that you don't even experience it as a choice anymore. You experience it as an itch, a pull, a tiny electric spark that says, look, look, look. Now here's the twist nobody warns you about. That exact same circuitry, built for scanning a savanna for lions, is the circuitry running underneath every app on your phone. Every notification is a rustle in the grass. Every autoplay video is a flash of movement at the edge of your vision. Your phone didn't invent a new part of your brain to exploit. It found the oldest part and pointed a fire hose at it. Dr. Anna Lembke, a psychiatrist at Stanford University who studies addiction, describes modern life as swimming in a sea of dopamine triggers our ancestors never had to face. Food was scarce, so your brain rewards sugar and fat heavily. Now sugar and fat are everywhere, and that same reward circuit fires constantly. Information was scarce too. A new fact, a new face, a new story used to be rare and valuable. Now new information arrives every 4 seconds in an infinite scroll, and your ancient reward circuit still treats every single piece of it like it might be that rare, valuable thing. It never learns to stop looking. Why would it? For most of human history, looking is exactly what kept you alive. This is where the phrase brain rot starts to make a strange kind of sense, but not in the way people usually mean it. Your brain isn't decaying. It's being fed an unnatural diet of stimulation at a frequency and intensity that never existed before, and it's responding exactly the way 300,000 years of evolution trained it to respond. It's paying attention, constantly, compulsively, because attention used to be rare and expensive, and now it's cheap and infinite, and nobody updated the wiring. Think about what a piece of information actually cost your ancestors. If an elder in your tribe told a story about which berries were poisonous, that story might get told once a season, around a fire, and everyone listening knew it mattered because stories were rare. Attention was easy to give because there was so little competing for it. Compare that to right now. In the time it takes you to read this sentence, someone somewhere uploaded another few hundred hours of video to the internet. Your brain has no evolved mechanism for a world with infinite content, because infinite content never existed until roughly 15 years ago. That's not even a full human lifetime. In evolutionary terms, it's less than a blink. There's a researcher whose work explains this mismatch with unsettling clarity. Gloria Mark, a professor at the University of California, found that the average time people can focus on a screen before switching tasks has dropped dramatically over the past 2 decades, down to well under a minute for many people. Her research suggests this isn't a personal failing, it's an environmental one. The environment rewards switching, so the brain adapts to switching. So what does brain rot actually feel like from the inside? Restlessness during silence, reaching for your phone before you've even registered the thought, watching something forgettable, forgetting it instantly, and reaching for the next thing anyway. Full stomach, zero nutrition. That's not an accident. That's the mechanism working exactly as designed, just aimed at the wrong target. And this isn't only about phones. Gossip, gambling, serialized stories, even gladiator games in ancient Rome tapped the same novelty circuit. The difference was friction. Getting new gossip meant walking to the market. Getting a new chapter meant waiting a week. Modern technology's whole design goal was removing that friction. No walking, no waiting, just an infinite, self-refilling stream of new. Nicholas Carr has argued that the tools people build to think with also reshape how they think. The printing press changed memory. Clocks changed time. Now, a feed engineered around endless novelty is changing attention itself. Not because your brain broke, because it adapted, the way it always has, to whatever environment you handed it. Here's the twist. The people who built these systems borrowed the same principle casinos have used for a century. Unpredictable rewards create stronger compulsive engagement than predictable ones. Your feed doesn't pay out every time either. Sometimes it's boring. Sometimes it's the funniest thing you've seen all week. That unpredictability is exactly what makes stopping so hard. 300,000-year-old software in an environment built to exploit exactly what that software does. It doesn't rot. It just never gets to rest. But here's the part worth holding on to. The same brain that adapted to infinite scrolling can adapt back. This is called neuroplasticity, the brain's lifelong ability to reorganize itself based on experience. Reduce the frictionless novelty, and the ancient circuitry calms down, the same way a smoke detector stops going off once you remove the smoke. A person from 10,000 years ago handed your phone wouldn't see brain rot. They'd see the single most valuable resource their world revolved around: endless new information, delivered instantly, at zero risk. Of course, a brain built by that world would seize it with both hands. The rot was never in your neurons. It's a mismatch, an ancient survival strategy meeting a world with more novelty than any brain could ever need. Every time you catch yourself scrolling without meaning to, you're not witnessing decay. You're witnessing 300,000 years of instinct, still doing its job, just aimed at the wrong horizon. You opened your phone tonight to check one notification. 40 minutes might pass again before you look up. But now you know something your ancestors never had to know. It was never your brain rotting. It was your brain remembering exactly how to survive in a world that stopped asking it to.